Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do?
Welcome, ladies and gents, to the most must-see podcast in wrestling history. Welcome to PWC with your mother's favorite podcast, Vaz, and I'm taking care of you guys for the AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Night 1 review show. It was a good show in general. We had a lot of action, a lot of good, solid in-ring action. The promos needed a little bit of work, in my opinion, but the in-ring content was just such a good event. And I mean, it was headlined by the first ever Coffin Match between Darby Allin and Ethan Page, who was the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship between Jon Moxley and Carl Anderson. And we also had a couple of other matches in between as well. That's the start and the finish. Let's get to the review. Let's see how things panned out on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Night 1. And we kicked off Night 1 of Fyter Fest with the IWGP US match. It was, of course, Jon Moxley. His return to AEW after a long hiatus appears out of nowhere in through the crowd. It was beautiful to see a full crowd in Texas for this one. And yeah, it was a good match in general. It went up against Mr. Machine Gun, Carl Anderson. And I think Carl Anderson has proven yet again in this match that he's not just a one-liner tag team specialist. This man can hang it down in the singles competitor. I mean, we'll forget he was the original leader of the Bullet Club along with Prince Devitt and Tamatonga and a whole bunch of other guys. So we keep forgetting this stuff that Carl Anderson has gone through in Japan. But this match itself was just a high adrenaline rushed match. It was exactly what you want from Jon Moxley. It's exactly what you want from Carl Anderson. And yeah, Jon Moxley picked up the victory, which was the exact right call, because right after the match, we picked up from Mr. Archer himself, the Murder Hawk, whatever he calls himself. And yeah, we got a bit of a nice backstage, and he's like, listen, Moxley, you beat me for that title back in Tokyo in a Texas death match. We're in Texas next week again for Fyter Fest Night 2. Let's redo it. A rematch eventually. Jon Moxley, Lance Archer in a Texas death match was confirmed. We're getting it for night 2 of Fyter Fest, so I'm super excited for that. But in the match, there were some crazy spots there that we saw coming through as well. The end with the paradigm shift was enough, but yeah, it was such a good match in general. Once again, it's a good way to kick off AEW. The crowd was in it. It was a hot match. And then we moved on to the second match of the night, where it just continued. And this was the theme when it came to the wrestling. We'll get to the part where it just deflated a little bit, in my opinion. We continue into match number 2, and this was the implosion of Team Taz as it comes around. Brian Cage, the FTW champion, the unofficial FTW champion, was defending his title against Mr. Ricky Starks. And yeah, look, I think a lot of us weren't surprised by the outcome. Again, they've been teasing this split between Taz and Cage for a while. So to have Team Taz assist Starks and pick up the victory, it made sense. I think having Stark win it by himself might have been a bit too much of a stretch, I think. But yeah, I get the point. What was really shocking about this was the response the crowd gave to Starks winning the title. I did not expect such a big pop. And yeah, look, the commentary team did a fantastic job putting this over as a bit of a squash match, which turned to be not a squash match in the end. And of course, Starks picking up the surprise victory, becoming your new FTW champion with the help, obviously, of Team Taz in the ring. I mean, everybody around the ring had their little bit in there. I think in the end it was Hobbs that hit Cage with the FTW belt, which caused from the distraction on the other side. It was. Except what, in the ring, during the match itself was really good to watch. The technical aspect of it, the ending, a bit flat, but generally a good match to watch and a good follow-up to that heavyweight, the US title match that we had a bit earlier. So it was a good build for them, starting apart, bringing it down a little bit, and then things started getting a little bit off the rails. Then we got the first major promo of the night, and in case we had any doubt who the face was in this promotion, Cody Rhodes came in drenched in all white suit just to make sure. Went to the announcer table, put on a headset, and they said, you know what, this isn't working, let me grab a mic instead. Grabbed the microphone, went to the ring and called out Malachi Black. He appeared on the Titantron, gave a story about a horse, which was a little bit confusing in the sense that it didn't really apply to his, I suppose, his feud with Cody Rhodes. We don't really know what the feud's about, to be honest. But anyway, Cody's like, come on down, you hit an old man, come on down the ring, and let's deal with this properly. Lights went down, Malachi Black appeared in the ring in all black, just in case you didn't know that he was not the man you were supposed to root for. Instead, we had to root for the man in all white. And then they went to brawling, they attacked each other and just beat the hell out of each other, trying to until security got there. I don't know, I feel like it's the same promos we get every week from Cody Rhodes. I don't see anything different. He just comes in there yelling and screaming about how he is the good man and he is the man that's going to save the world or save everything from wrestling. And it just didn't feel anything. Malachi coming in there had a little bit of a difference, which was nice. But again, I don't see the point in trying to fast track this feud so quickly. I mean, we don't know why Malachi attacked Arn Anderson or Cody Rhodes. He came out and gave a story about a horse that was his prize stallion that they had to put down. So maybe he's referring to Cody as a prize stallion right now that needs to put down. But Cody's not that old, so it doesn't make that much sense. You can't call Cody an old stallion of the game. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's what we got. And then we got our second promo of the night, which was a lot better than this one, I think, but still lacked something. So we got the second promo came up. It was Tony Shaman calling out Hangman Adam Page, and Page came out and said, listen, you're in line for this new spot. You're in line for this title. Kenny Omega doesn't want to give it to you. What's happening? And before he could even say anything, the entire elite came out. Before Don Callis on the mic came out and said, listen, what do you think you're doing? You're not getting a title shot. Don't worry about it. Then all of a sudden, both Jacksons, Nick and Matt, both came out and started talking to him like he was challenging them. Gallows even had a bit of a run, which was a bit weird. And then Matt Jackson insulted Page to his face inside the ring, which drew a bit of a physical attack. And that brought out the Dark Order and cleared out the elite from the ring. And then we had basically what the stipulation will be. It will be at Fyter Fest Night 2. Sorry, not in Fyter Fest Night 2. It'll be at Night 1. And it was a 5-on-5. The Elite taking on the Dark Order with Adam Page. And if Adam Page wins, then at Fyter Fest Night 2, Adam Page gets a one-on-one shot with Kenny Omega for the AEW Heavyweight Championship, and the Dark Order get a tag team match against the Young Bucks at Night 2 as well. You know, this promo, it got the point across of setting up the main event for Fyter Fest, which a lot of people were wondering what is, going to be the man. Is it going to be Darby Allin and Ethan Page, or was it going to be something even bigger? And we got the answer, a bit of a lackluster, in my opinion. 10-man matches always seem to be a bit convoluted, a bit confusing. But I think the big point is, yes, how Don Callis really tries to be, like insulting, arrogant fool. And there's only few people in wrestling that can actually do that properly. One was Eric Bischoff. I mean, you used to hate Eric Bischoff when he spoke. The other is Paul Heyman, who, when Paul Heyman speaks and insults you, it almost feels so good that you don't feel insulted, but you are actually insulted. When Don Callis tries to insult you, you just feel very cheap and disgusting. And I think that came out a lot. It's sort of rubbing off on the rest of the elite. Kenny Omega, I don't know, I think his mic work has actually come down a bit since leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. His promos against Okada were something of the best. It was scathing, and now he almost feels like it's being forced out of him to get these good promos every single week. One thing I can say though is Adam Page, man, his promo work has improved one hell of a bit, and I take my hand off to him, and I'm excited to see if he gets his opportunity. Then we moved on to some more in-ring action, and we had a match that was the latest chapter in a 23-long-year feud, and that was Christian Cage taking on Big Money Matt Hardy in what was technically a fantastic wrestling match. But I mean, these two know each other so well over the years. You can literally put them, blindfold them, handcuff them, and they'll still have a fantastic match. The ending was a little bit convoluted, a bit weird. Cage was going to go put on the kill switch on Hardy. The referee was a bit distracted, gave him the low blow. He then tried to put the leech on him, but it was countered back to a kill switch, and then eventually Christian Cage picked up the victory. After the match, we had the Hardy family come out and surround the ring and threaten to attack Cage, but Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus made the save, and they were left standing tall in the ring. And yeah, good solid wrestling match. I thought it was fun and fantastic. And again, like I said earlier, you can put these two people anytime, anywhere in the world, and they will have some of the best matches you've ever seen. I mean, we all can remember the Hardys versus Edge and Christian matches. They were through the roof great. And even if you take out Edge and Jeff, you still have great chemistry between these guys. So a good, solid match to sort of build up onto this rival. I think it will continue, especially now bringing in the factions with Luchasaurus and the Jungle Express, rather, the Jurassic Express, rather, and the Hardy family. It should be an interesting feud going forward into night 2 of Fyter Fest. I'm sure we'll get a second match out of them there. If not, probably on AEW the following week. We then got 2 promo packages right back to back after that. The first one, which was the most interesting of the two, was Miro, the TNT champion, proclaiming that he is the redeemer of AEW and basically being saying that he was anointed by God as the TNT champion, which was a very interesting take on his current projection of runs and everything like that. And yeah, it felt a little bit good, I think. Like it felt different from what we've seen in wrestling, which is what we want. You know, we don't want the same storylines over and over again. And I think this one played right into that perfectly, as every wrestling fan really wants. The second promo we got was Tony Schiavone speaking to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and she cut a promo on Nyla Rose, which I think was very smart promo work. Yeah, she started off like very face-like, with a lot of baby face chats and things like that, but in the end, it pulled off that she was the most arrogant person, the way it's supposed to be. And yeah, I think that was some very good promo work, hyping over that match between Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. And the Miro one, anyone who wants to step up to Miro, he's basically waiting. He is the redeemer of AEW, and he's there to stay, as he put it. We then went back to the ring and we got Sammy Guevara taking on Wheeler Yuta. It was Wheeler's in-ring debut. And look, if you're going to put the Spanish God into any wrestling match at this point in his career, you're going to have a good match. The man is so hot. I mean, that Texas crowd was so loud. It literally just blew anyone out of that arena, how much they were supporting him. And in the end, unfortunately, Yuta, this did feel like a bit of a glorified squash match. I mean, when you saw Guevara coming out of the shooting star presses right in the first 2 minutes of the match, you knew it was going to be over extremely quickly. Not much else to say about this than Sammy Guevara went over on Yuta. He did have best friend Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy by his side. Didn't help him much in there. But I want to say this helps Yuta in his career, but it didn't. And unfortunately, it felt like a quick and devastating burial with this one. And then we moved into the second match right after this one, another glorified squash match. And this one was a bit more predictable than the Sammy Guevara one. We thought maybe Yuta might have a bit of offense. He had a little bit, didn't really surprise us. But this one, I mean, Yuka Sakazaki. There we go. Came back after a 16-month absence from AEW. She was sitting at 16-1 record, and she was taking against Penelope Ford, who, I'll take my hat off to Penelope Ford. She's still developing. I mean, she's had some great matches on AEW Dark, but maybe not ready for the main spotlight yet. And I mean, Yuka just destroyed her in what is Also, just a beautiful match. These delivered senton at the end was just perfect, and you know what you're getting from Yuko at any point in the match. So there we go. Two glorified matches that sort of, it felt like they shouldn't have been so high up on the card. I would have preferred them to see maybe before the Matt Hardy match, because it did lose that sort of momentum. We then got a segment to say that the 5-on-5 will take place at Fyter Fest Night 2. And that meant the main event would stay as the Coffin Match, with Darby Allin going one-on-one against Ethan Page. It was main event time, the Coffin Match. Darby Allin going one-on-one against Ethan Page. And this match would have been a lot better if it didn't have all the distractions in it. I mean, they could have just kept it to the two of them. They decided not to. We had Scorpio Sky come out of the coffin and attack Darby Allin to give Ethan the advantage. Sting came out of nowhere, and him and Scorpio Sky battled all over the arena. Then Darby Allin and Ethan decided to go all over the arena. We had a spot where Darby Allin jumped off from the grandstand and got busted open as well. There was just too much going on in this match rather than to keep it as simple as, I mean, these two have the chemistry already. They've proven it in the past. But to have them do all these crazy and very unnecessary spots, really, to try and get the match over, it felt very forced. It felt like they wanted to put too many ideas into a match that didn't need so many ideas, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense anyway. In the end, Darby Allin picked up the victory. It was a bit of a cool way how to pick it. I mean, he raked the eyes of a Page, then did a double stomp with the skateboard, making him fall inside, closed the lid, and then a point that it makes no sense to me why someone would do that, but he did a coffin drop on the coffin while the lid was closed. That's not going to hurt Ethan Page in any bit whatsoever. Have you seen the padding inside those things? I mean, come on. If I drop someone inside a coffin and I jump on it, I'm going to get hurt with my back more than what the man inside is. So I don't know why Darby Allin did it. But anyway, Darby Allin won the match. In the end, it was a simple finish for a match that promised so much and just over-delivered. They just gave too much content to the fans. Even the fans in the crowd, they started off hot, they cheered, but then distractions happened, all the spot fests started happening, and they got what they call in the industry cheap pops. It was pops that didn't actually reflect the energy or the effort they put into that match, and it felt like it was a little bit poor. But again, in-ring action was fantastic. These two guys always have the chemistry to do it. A fun way to finish Fyter Fest. I was expecting something a bit more, but it wasn't a bad finish. And that's the end of the review show. All in all, Fyter Fest Night 1 was a good wrestling show. The promo work needed a little bit. I mean, Miro and Britt Baker knocked it out of the park. A bit disappointed, unfortunately, with the Kenny Omega and the Elite and that little situation, as well as the one prior to them when we had the promo work. Sorry. It just felt like they needed to do a little bit more when it came to talking. I mean, the Cody Rhodes, Malachi Black one, for me, just didn't... I'm not getting hyped to see Malachi and Cody Rhodes. I think they could have started off with such better feuds going forward, rather than having him go against Cody Rhodes, because we know he's just going to get buried in the end, and we don't want... I don't know, I did laugh, though. I have to say, I did laugh with the Cody Rhodes when he says he doesn't win all his fights, and I just thought to myself, that golden shovel, I mean... Go tell QT Marshall that, and all those guys, I mean, it didn't feel great, but the in-ring action was fantastic, and it did push up a little bit. We had the two down spots and the two glorified smart matches, and again, I understand shows need the glorified squash matches and the squash matches and stuff like that, but they don't deserve to be so high in the card. I also felt like we should have maybe finished with the John Moxley Machine Gun Carl Anderson match rather than start with it. However, the Coffin match did live up to the hype, I suppose. In the end, I maybe personally was expecting a little bit of a better match rather than an over Spotified match, if that makes sense. But yeah, all in all, good show, solid stuff. On the Vaz scale, AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Night 1. It gets itself a healthy 7.5 out of 10. And that was being nice. I mean, I think that the promos did bring it down a little bit. I was, let's be nice. I'll give it an 8. That John Moxley match was really good. And I really did enjoy the Christian Cage Matt Hardy match a lot more. So we'll give it an 8, which is a good score for AEW. Don't forget, ladies and gents, if you haven't done so already, please click subscribe and notify yourself so you get all the latest videos from PWC. And if you have any comments on what happened on AEW Fyter Fest and you don't agree with me, or if you agree with me and just want to voice your opinion, write down in the comments below. Please leave a comment and let us know what you think. From me, though, your mother's favorite podcaster, as always, been awesome hosting for you guys. We'll catch you guys again very soon. And of course, till then, peace and chicken grease.